July the 10th, waterside and woodland flowers. The edges of lakes, rivers, and ponds now have their most luxuriant growth of vegetation. There are so many plants in flower that it could well take years to get to know them all. Instantly recognizable is purple loosestrife, Lythrum salicaria, which has such large, showy purple flowers it never gets unnoticed. It is surprising it doesn't all get picked, as it looks so much like a garden plant, conveniently growing in neat clumps and also having such a long vase life. The flowers borne on stems up to 5 feet tall are worth examining closely. There are 3 different types, creating no less than 18 different ways that cross-pollination can occur. Yellow loosestrife, Lysimachia vulgaris, is equally eye-catching, although not as common. The Romans used to tie these flowers around the necks of their oxen to deter flies. Both loosestrifes can be found at Langham Lake, Runnymede, along with water forget-me-not Myosotis scorpoides, arrowhead Sagittaria sagitticifolia, frogbit Hydrocharis morsus rani, and an interesting collection of aquatic umbellifers, including the highly poisonous hemlock water dropwort, Ananthe crocata. Its leaves can easily be confused with celery, although they are darker, firmer, and more shiny. The bigger problem in the past was its roots, which look like parsnips. Some of its leaves, added to a cheese sandwich, have resulted in death within 3 hours. Its close relations are rarer. For example, fine-leaved dropwort, Ananthe aquatica, which can be found in northeast London, river water dropwort, Ananthe fluvatilis, sulphurwort, Ananthe salifolia, and the tubular water dropwort, Ananthe fistulosa, all of which can be also found in the Runnymede area, as well as the wet meadows around Chertsey. Most water dropworts are poisonous, although not as virulent as hemlock water dropworts, so even though they may smell of parsley, they are all best left untouched. Other water plants that may catch your eye this month are figworts, burr marigolds, balsams, skullcaps, water mints, and water lilies, as well as greater spearwort, marsh pennyroyal, marsh ragwort, and marsh wingwort. Less noticeable are the pearlworts, bedstraws, docks, persicarias, and plantains. Looking into or on the surface of the water, Canadian pondweed, hornwort, water milfoil, and various potamogetons and duckweeds may also be seen. The balsams are a particularly attractive group. It is the Himalayan balsam, Impatiens glandulifera, that gets the most attention. This is mainly because it is an alien which aggressively takes over some riverbanks to the exclusion of everything else, and also partly because of its fruits. When fully ripe, these dramatically explode when touched. Orange balsam, Impatiens capensis, is one of our few orange flowers. It can be found along some portions of the River Lee. Skullcap, Scutellaria galericulata, has unusual blue-violet flowers arranged in tight pairs along its stems. This is usually encountered by itself at the edges of canals or even on the walls bordering the Thames. Its cousin, lesser skullcap, Scutellaria minor, is much more likely to be found in marshy areas. Water figwort is capable of reaching a staggering 2.5 meters in height and was so well thought of by early gardeners that both variegated and white-flowered forms were sold as garden plants. Water lilies are probably the favourite aquatic plant for most Londoners. Both our native white water lily, Nymphea alba, and yellow water lily, Nuphar lutea, can now be seen in flower in Crane Park Nature Reserve. Most of the water lilies we see are planted, and occasionally they hybridize. The fringed water lily, Nymphoides peltata, is much rarer, but can be seen on long water at Hampton Court. Other rarer wild plants to look out for this month are meadow rue, Thalictrum flavum, marsh pennywort, Hydrocotyl vulgaris, water soldier, Stratiotes aloides, water purslane, Lythrum portula, and the truly inconspicuous chaffweed, Anagalis minima. Water soldier is very unusual. It spends most of its life submerged on the surface of mud, with its serrated spear-like leaves pointing upwards. However, in July, it dramatically releases itself from the mud and floats to the surface to show off its flowers, each of which has 3 large white petals. Alas, this is to no avail, as in this country they never set seed before they descend again into the muddy depths in August. Chaffweed is very easily missed, as it is only a few centimetres high and has tiny pink or white flowers just 1 or 2 millimetres in width. It may still occur on Reigate Heath, on bare wet woodland paths, and on bare wet woodland paths. Two other rarities, variously starwort, Calitrichae platycarpa, and the water whirlgrass, Catabrosa aquatica, can both be seen along the Basingstoke Canal. Mare's tail, although a flowering plant, usually gets mistaken for a horsetail. In July, it sends up above the water surface a flower of sorts. The flowers are the smallest imaginable, lacking any petals or sepals to talk of. Being wind-pollinated, petals are not needed. Other truly minute flowers this month are produced by the duckweeds, and the smallest of all our native flowering plants, Wolffia eriza. This aquatic is so small, it generally gets missed, even by plant recorders. The showiest of all our waterside plants are probably the monkey flowers, Mimulus species. There are 3 in London, mainly seen in water gardens. Occasionally they do occur in the wild, especially along parts of the River Colne and Derwent. The monkey flower, Mimulus guttatus, is the most likely to be seen with its custard yellow flowers. Blood drop emlets, Mimulus luteus, is more attractive on account of the red splashes on its yellow flowers. Lastly, and most strange, is the musk plant, Mimulus muscatus. This was once a great garden favourite, but the plant mysteriously lost its musk scent across the entire world in 1912. A pleasant and easy way to become acquainted with waterside plants this month is just to walk along the banks of the River Wandle as it meanders through Beddington Park and then Morden Hall Park. Including any ponds and nearby marsh, you can find up to 70 different species of waterside and submerged plant in both places. These include 5 different watercresses, Rorapa species, 3 different duckweeds, stonewort, milky flower, brook lime and royal fern in Beddington Park, and 5 different sedges, 2 berries, water fern and skunk cabbage in Morden Hall Park. July is also the best month to visit one of the rarest of London's semi-aquatic habitats, bogs. It is here where our small number of insectivorous plants can be found. Surprisingly, on Wimbledon Common, for the time being, both sundew, Drosera rotundifolia, and butterwort, Pinguicula vulgaris, can still be found, although they may well have been reintroduced. Sundew have reddish leaves bordered with hairs that end in sticky, glistening, sticky drops. When an insect comes to investigate it, it soon finds itself trapped, and as it struggles, both the hairs and leaves bend to secure it more firmly. This can all happen in less than 10 seconds. Then unseen, digestive juices are secreted, which break down the insect's softer parts so that its vital nitrogen can be absorbed. When the leaf reopens, you can often see insect legs or wing cases left that have been reluctant to break down. These get blown away by the wind. Butterwort employs a similar strategy, but in this case there are no hairs on its fleshy leaves. However, they are sticky and roll up to engulf any insect that lands on them. Ebbing Forest is still a place to look for both these plants, as well as one of the most unusual of all insectivorous plants, bladderwort, Utricularia vulgaris. Its small canary yellow flowers, set on thin stems coming out of the water, are the first thing you notice. These give no clue to what is happening below the water surface. There is a mass of floating filaments with small, clear bladders attached to them. If the whole plant is temporarily put in an aquarium with some water fleas, it is not long before the water fleas swim too close and are suddenly sucked into a bladder and then entrapped. Unlike our other insectivorous plants, bladderwort does not dispose of its prey with digestive juices, but just keeps them entrapped till they starve and die, and then at their leisure they absorb their nutrients. One of the most atmospheric bog habitats to visit is on Keston Common. This is where Charles Darwin is believed to have studied the plants before writing his book on the subject. Although any insectivorous plants may now be hard to find, other attractive bog plants such as bog asphodel and cotton grass may still be seen. Among the 7 sphagnum mosses recorded there are the brightly coloured red species of Sphagnum capillifolium, subspecies rubellum, and Sphagnum magellanicum. On Cobham Common, there may also be a chance of seeing another insectivorous plant, Sarracenia purpurea, the pitcher plant. It is vase-shaped and usually half full of water in which the insects drown. It's an alien from America and much more likely to be seen in garden centres. Woodland flowers. Mixed oak woods are even darker than they were last month. To encounter a range of woodland flowers, it is necessary to visit different types of woods this month. Ashted Common has a lot of pedunculate oak, and Petswood is good for sessile oak. The woods around Down are among the best beech woods. Birch can be found on Wimbledon Common and pine at Black Park. Hornbeam woods, for example Whiteweb's wood, are more common in North London, and hazel woods in the south. There is a small amount of lime in Three Halfpenny Wood, and rather more ash in Nineham's Wood. Scroggan Wood is good for alder, and Brookwood for aspen. The most enjoyable woods to visit are nearly always the ancient ones, particularly those with a more open canopy. The violets and anemones of spring are now long gone. Bluebells are running to seed, and dog's mercury will soon disappear altogether underground. At first glance, most London woods are covered in bramble, ivy, and nettles. In the less well-trodden woods, it is easy enough to find herb bennet, enchanter's nightshade, Goldilocks wood sage, and foxgloves. In older, more ancient woods, less common species such as sanicle, wild strawberry, and common cowwheat, Melampyrum pratense, are more likely to be seen. Cowwheat is one of the most attractive woodland flowers of the month. The damper woods around Bromley are good places to see it. It has groups of 2 pure citrus yellow flowers, both pointing in the same direction. It is unusual in woodland, being an annual, and also in the way in which it lives by parasitizing nearby plants, taking both water and minerals from them. In the past, it was eaten by pregnant mothers to ensure they had a boy. Cows were thought to favor it, resulting in brighter yellow butter. The wheat connection came from the seeds of other cow wheats, which contaminated crops, resulting in bitter-tasting bread. Woodland paths often have their own distinct plant communities. This month, silverweed, centaury, St. John's wort, and figwort all stand out. The figwort most frequently seen is common figwort, Scrophularia nodosa, usually around the edges of damp paths. Its small, strangely shaped deep burgundy flowers stand out on tall stems. When present, it can be an indicator that the rest of the wood is species-rich. The similar-looking water figwort, Scrophularia auriculata, is also common and not always found beside water. There are 2 others worth searching for. The green figwort, Scrophularia umbrosa, is unfortunately very rare. It has leaves more deeply and sharply toothed than the common figwort. The yellow figwort, Scrophularia venalis, which has yellow flowers and bright green leaves, is a little easier to find as it is naturalized at Kew. In the 17th century, Gerard tells us it grew in, quote, moist meadows from London to Hornsey, and there was also a white form, which is now unknown. In France, figworts are called siege herbs, on account of them being eaten during the siege of La Rochelle in the 17th century. They must have been a famine food of last resort, as the tubers have such an unpleasant smell. 1 or 2 garden plants also turn up in woodlands at this time of year. For example, Tutson, Hypericum androsimum, Rose of Sharon, Hypericum calcinum, various oxalis species, and an alien goldenrod, Solidago canadensis. Our own native goldenrod, Solidago virgorea, is unfortunately very rare and rapidly disappearing. It prefers rocky areas in open woods, where it usually chooses to grow singly. It has been replaced partially by Solidago canadensis, which was imported from North America as a garden border plant. It seeded so easily and was so invasive it was quickly thrown out. Either way, it soon formed the dense clumps we see around London today. It also has a relative, Solidago gigantea, which is not quite so invasive, but is also on the move. Other attractive species that get noticed at this time of year are Burnet saxifrage, Pimpinella saxifraga, water ravens, Geum rivale, Betony stachys officinalis, and 1 or 2 bellflowers, Campanula species. 2 impressive ones are the Canterbury bell, Campanula latifolia, and the nettle-leaved bellflower, Campanula trachelium. The first can be seen in some woods in the far north of London, and the second is still common enough at the edges of chalky woods on the North Downs. Common Gromwell, Lithospernum officinale, with its seeds like miniature pointed pearls, is found in similar situations. Lastly, the most dramatic woodland plant to be found in July has to be the Turk's Cap or Martagon lily, which has been naturalized in Norwood for nearly 200 years. Its real home is as far away as the woods of Mongolia. One way or another, it arrived in the 16th century, and Parkinson even collected 5 different types for his garden. It continued to be popular into the 18th century, when there were double forms, all of which now seem to be lost. Its last remaining outpost near London appears to be this much visited wood near Box Hill.